Hello, darling. Oh, hang on, what's it
More
saying?
like this.
I can't have it at the moment. I'm on the drugs.
All new Top Gear landing soon on BBC One and iPlayer.
Can't hear it very well. Right, this is going to fall off. I'm balancing my iPad on a laptop.
Wherever you find yourself, got music. New back-to-back sounds. Listen now on BBC Sound.
You've got a radio on.
Someone's got the radio on.
The Warriors go head-to-head at the top of the Hotspur season.
Right, I think we have to be muted. I'm muting. Hang on.
Broad medal winners and the coveted Best in Show at the RHS Chancy Flower Show in an hour. After a change to our schedule, first on BBC Two, Laura Kunsberg investigates Partygate for Panorama.
It's somebody called Jimmy with his television on.
Ah.
Guidance was
Okay, team, I hope everyone can hear me, and welcome to this evening's forum. I hope everyone can hear me okay. Great to see so many people joining us this evening. We've got 35 people at the moment and lots more people joining all the time. So that's great. And what a brilliant time to have selected to have a forum, since we've had a fantastic couple of, well, that's it, 24 hours. So we'll just wait for a couple more people to join us and then we will get going. We've got Dan Skelton joining us shortly, and we're going to have a quick review of the last 24 hours just before we get going. But I can see lots of people sort of queuing up to get involved. So we'll just wait another 30 seconds and then we'll get going with our forum this evening. Okay, well, I think we've got everyone in. So welcome to our forum, whether or not you're watching over Zoom or on YouTube. Thanks very much indeed for joining us this evening. We've got a brilliant lineup with Dan Skelton joining us, and I hope lots of people will be asking him lots of questions as we get an update from Dan and talk to him. He's happy to answer any questions we like. So get your thinking caps on about what we can ask Dan. First of all, let's just talk about Foxtrot. It's been a fantastic 24 hours for us. So congratulations to all our members that have had a runner yesterday and today. So Galata Bridge got things going with an absolutely incredible performance at Huntingdon yesterday. Absolutely brilliant. Ponto and finished second at Bangor, and that was a very impressive run behind a very heavily backed winner. I'm sure Tip Ponto can win one of those maidens. We don't even need to go in a handicap with him now. Step him up in trip and he'll be winning, I'm very sure, very soon. And then Tiger Orchid ran this afternoon at Southall to round off what's been a brilliant 24 hours, bring up our 11th winner of the year. So many congratulations to him. I think particular congratulations to Richard Newland and his team, who have done an absolutely incredible job. I think Tiger Orchid, who did not want to jump, remember the end of last season, he pretty much tried to step over the hurdles. Much improved jumping performance from him. So well done to Richard Newland and his team. Having a look at Richard Newland's stats, in their last 20 runners, they've had 8 winners and 5 seconds. So they finished last season as their most successful ever season, and they really have settled into the new yard at Urloxy. So great to see Richard Newland's horses running so well. So congratulations to him and the team there. And we've certainly been benefiting it with our horses, and we've got a few more runners with the yard coming up over the next couple of weeks. So really looking forward to his good form continuing. So well done to Redcaps and our Tiger Orchid owners. I thought what we'd do is start off this evening with a little video just to remind us of what's happened over the last 24 hours.
The rail, but getting through. Bevan driven. Reminders for Begin the Luck. Fight for It is in 5th, and then Systemic. Elam Valley leading. Twist and Davy still sitting statuesque on Galata Bridge. Running to the second last. Bevan responding to a bit of pressure. Systemic trying to come through. Fight for It on the outside. Begin the Luck has faded as they have now swarmed around and past Elam Valley as Systemic tries to challenge Galata Bridge. Sam Twist and Davies now just starts to push a button or two, but still looking in control. Galata Bridge jumps the last beautifully and is opening up now. Galata Bridge, well, this is very convincing. Held up at the back of the field, and he's coming good tonight, Galata Bridge. He's laughed at the rest of them. Galata Bridge wins hands down for Foxtrot Racing. Richard Newland and Sam Twist and Davies. Systemic second. Long-time leader Elam Valley third, and Bevan fourth.
What happens now as they swing into the home straight? 2 flights are left to jump. Duke of Rockingham with a sheepskin noseband. Tiger Orchid seemingly moving very well in second place. Now pulled towards the outside. So here they come towards the second last. Duke of Rockingham on the right. Tiger Orchid on the left. Didn't jump that too well, Tiger Orchid. So, and the whips are up on Duke of Rockingham. The whips are up on Tiger Orchid. Here comes Tiger Orchid to loom up along the stand side. Comes through to take it up. Tiger Orchid now goes on from Duke of Rockingham. 1 flight left to jump. And Tiger Orchid has gone 3 clear. And it's looking good for Tiger Orchid at the last. Safely over. He's 5 lengths in front of Duke of Rockingham, and Tiger Orchid is going to come through and win it for Charlie Hammond and Dr. Richard Newland and owner Ian Hannon. In second place, Duke of Rockingham.
Well done everyone, and congratulations to the Red Cap owners and of course Tiger Orchid's owners this afternoon. The only downside to all that was Tomo, who doesn't seem to know the Foxtrot Racing colours, which is a bit unusual. I'm not sure who we thought owned Tiger Orchid. We'll have to have a word with Derek Thompson about that. But well done to all our owners for a very successful 24 hours, and long may it continue. And I certainly think Galata Bridge and Tiger Orchid will be winning again later on this summer. So well done to everyone. So this evening, I'm delighted, as you know, we're going to be joined by Dan Skelton, and I hope everyone's got some questions lined up for him. So at the bottom of your screen, you'll see a reaction button. And if you press that, you're able to raise your hand. So if you've got any questions you want to ask directly to Dan, you can do that using the reactions button at the bottom of the screen. Or if you prefer to send a message direct to me and I can pass it on to him, you can use the chat button at the bottom. From there, you can select to either send everyone a question or just direct it to me and I'll pick it up. I'll try and get through as many of those questions as I possibly can as we speak to Dan this evening. So please get involved, ask him anything you like, and I will pass on those questions to him if they're on the chat, or you can raise your hand using the reaction button at the bottom of the screen, and we'll come direct to you and you can have a chat with him directly. Just one final piece of admin, I suppose. In the top right-hand corner of your screen, it should say View. If you use that, you can then select either see everyone that's on the call, or you can just select whoever's speaking. So if you prefer to get a bit of a closer view of the speakers, then you can use the button on the top right of your screen. Great. Well, is Dan with us? I'm just having a look to see if he's with us now. And are you here? Are you on the call? Just going through, see if he's arrived yet. I told him not to log in before 7:10. I said I didn't want to hear him talking about Dr. Richard Newland and our success. So whatever you do, don't log in before 7:10. So I'm just seeing if he's here. I think he took me very literally. Yeah. Well, anyway, we will. He will. Oh, we've got 2 minutes, so I'm 2 minutes early. That's why it's not. Oh no, 1 minute early. That's why he's not here. Well done. Anyone in the red caps of Tiger Orchid? Are they on the call? Anyone like to give us an update on their win? Did anyone go to Bangor today? Anyone want to tell us about their experience at Bangor or Huntingdon or at Southall? Well, Southall, I can tell you, Southall were brilliant today. They gave everyone that attended a prize, which was quite astonishing. So well done to Southall Racecourse on giving every person the Tiger Orchid syndicate a memento of the day. I thought that was a brilliant touch. So well done to Southall today. And I think we all had a lot of fun there this afternoon and at Huntingdon yesterday. And we've got plenty of action coming up for the rest of the week. We've got a stable visit to Jamie Snowden's on Thursday. And then, of course, tomorrow evening at Warwick, we have got Ultimate Getaway running. We're really looking forward to seeing him going chasing. He won last time out. Let's see if we can follow up in what looks like a small field, but a fairly competitive handicap case tomorrow. So we're looking forward to seeing Ultimate Getaway. So lots going on for the rest of the week. Now it's on, is it 7:10 now? So let's see if Dan's with us now. And are you on the call? No? Crikey, I've got to improvise for another minute. That's always going to be a challenge.
Sing us a song, Dan.
Well, I don't think that would be any form of entertainment at all. That would be some form of punishment, I think. Anyway, let's not go down that route, Phil. That would be a disaster for everyone. So I'll tell you what, while we're waiting, let's have a look back at one of Dan's horses. So we've had a huge amount of success over the last few years with Maracuja, and he's given us a huge amount of fun. He's run at the top level. He's run at some of the biggest meetings in Britain. He's managed to stay sound and healthy. And what's lovely to see is a horse of his age still enjoying his racing and still having fun. I thought, let's start off just by having a little bit of a reflection, a reminder of what he has done and all the fun that he's given us. And it was great to see him earlier this campaign, if you like, the Hunter Chase season, winning at Leicester. And let's just go and remind ourselves about that fantastic win. Just need to get the video going. Here we go. Great. So here's Maracuja winning earlier on this season.
So quite a long run towards home. Peacock Secret, Indy Rocco pushed along now. Pure Vision in third place. Maracuja is about 3 lengths behind. I'm Wiser now being ridden along. Is 4 lengths behind Maracuja, and a gap back to Petite Ganache, who's been ridden for the last circuit. So it's Peacock Secret with Indy Rocco for company. Then in third place, Pure Vision being ridden along. Maracuja just quietly getting into contention under Tristan Durrell. Then in behind is I'm Wiser now trying to respond, followed by Petite Ganache, heading down the home straight with around half a mile to go. Still 4 left to jump. Peacock Secret, joined by Indy Rocco again. Ridden along Pure Vision. Maracuja in behind as they jump 4 out. They're clear of I'm Wiser now, and over in 6th place, Petite Ganache. So Peacock Secret with Indy Rocco for company. Still getting a little bit closer as Maracuja towards the far side. 3 out the final open ditch. Peacock Secret was a bit untidy there. Indy Rocco jumped it the better. Maracuja coming into it strongly towards the far side. They're clear now of Pure Vision and I'm Wiser Now. This is 2 out. Indy Rocco near side with Peacock Secret trying to rally. Then over on the far side being ridden now Maracuja. Indy Rocco travelling the stronger at the moment, but Maracuja is coming back towards the far side. Then in between Peacock Secret, who's now being switched towards the near side, but now Maracuja's upsize Indy Rocco with 1 left to jump. Heading towards the final fence, then Maracuja takes over from Indy Rocco, who hasn't responded, having travelled well. Then in 3rd place is Peacock Secret. Maracuja has moved about 4 lengths clear, being driven right out by Tristan Durrell, coming well clear towards the finish. Maracuja well clear from Indy Rocco in 2nd place, then Peacock Secret in 3rd. It's Maracuja, 106 up for the season for trainer Dan Skelton, 1 for Tristan Durrell, wins well at the end. Indy Rocco was 2nd, 3rd was Peacock Secret, clear of Pure Vision.
Class came to the fore, and in the end, his natural ability saw him through under a confident ride from Tristan Durrell, partly probably because 1 or 2 niggly mistakes.
Great, well, brilliant to see a 11-year-old just enjoying his racing as much as Maracuja has, and certainly given us an awful lot of fun and a lot of success over the years. And the owners of Maracuja have decided to go for 1 more season with him before he'll be retired from racing under rules. He'll then probably go pointing, but I think we'll give him 1 more year. He seems to love it. He seems to be enjoying it. He's certainly still capable of winning races. And he is likely, I think, to run at Stratford at the end of the week, so probably on Friday. So it'll be interesting to see him run there. And that will be his last run of this season. Then he'll have a nice long break, a little bit of handicapping in the autumn, and then he'll go hunter chasing again in January. Okay, well, I'm hoping Dan may have joined us while we watched that video. I'm just having a look to see if he's here. Are you with us?
Not there.
No, that doesn't sound good, does it? Yeah. I have to keep improvising. Let me send him a message, and Jackie's remembered to come on. Maybe I sent him a dodgy link, who knows. Let's see if he's here. No. Well, are there any Maracuja owners on the call? Anyone that's involved in Maracuja that enjoyed the season with him and his career?
Well, we can enjoy it though, can't we? Even if we're not in him, Dan. It's Deb here.
Well, thanks for helping me out.
No, always look forward to seeing him run. He's such a lovely horse. He's such a character. As he knows his job. So he's really enjoyable, isn't he?
Absolutely, yeah. No, it's just been a super horse. It's just great to see a horse that has so much enthusiasm. I remember when he ran in the walkover. Actually, Bridget Andrews actually struggled to stay on board because he was so enthusiastic and wanted to get going, and running 200 yards just wasn't far enough for him. So that was an example of, I think, his enthusiasm and how much he enjoys it. And it's great that he's going to have another season in Foxtrot colours. Anyone else that's involved in Maracuja? Any nice memories from Ascot, maybe?
He's looking for people to talk to.
Well, let's
Right. Oh, Dan, Jackie, can you hear me?
Hi, Jackie, I can hear you. Yes, how are you?
Yes, I'm very well, thank you. And yeah, just wanted to say what an absolute pleasure it has been being involved with Maracuja. He's taken us to some, great places, Ascot, Aintree, and he's just been an absolute gem of a horse and always tries his best. And I was there when he won at Leicester. That was special. And yeah, he's just looking forward to, hopefully seeing him on Friday night and then having another season with him. That will be wonderful. He's been great. Yeah, thank you.
Well, that's really kind of you, Jackie. And I think he's given us an awful lot of fun, hasn't he?
He has.
And great that we're going to have another season with him, and I think he'll actually really enjoy that. And there's no reason why he can't be running these Hunter Chasers next year, and then enjoy a very happy retirement, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, what I thought I might do is put on just a little video. I might ring Dan Skelton and just see if he's got the link working okay. So let's just play a little short video, and then I'll stop it as soon as we've got Dan on board, and then we can come back to him. So just bear with me 1 second, let me get that set up. All right, here we go. So sorry for the delay, and let me just play this while I just give Dan a quick call, and then hopefully we can get him online. Maybe he's having some problems logging in.
I can't.
This city, we built this city on rock and roll. Built this city, we built this city on rock and roll. Say you don't know me, I recognize my face. Say you don't care who goes to that kind of place. Needed in the hoopla, sinking in your fight. Too many runaways, eating up the night. My pony plays the mama. Listen to the radio, don't you remember? We built this city, we built this city on rock and roll. We built this city, we built this city on rock and roll. Built this city, we built this city on rock and roll.
I all stood here with a William Wet for Lupo.
Corporation games. Who cares? They're always changing. Corporation names. We just want to dance here. Someone stole the stage. They call us irresponsible. Write us off the page.
Hi everyone, thank you very much today. What an impressive performance.
Listen to the radio, don't you remember? We built this city, we built this city on rock and roll. We built this city, we built this city on rock and roll. Built this city, we built this city on rock and roll. It's just another Sunday in a tired old street. Police have got the chokehold. And we just lost the beat. Who counts the money?
He's put on 20 kilograms from his last racing weight. It's 550 kilograms. He's a fair size.
We're the simple fools looking for America, crawling through your schools.
Looking out over that Golden Gate Bridge on another gorgeous sunny Saturday, and I'm seeing that bumper to bumper traffic.
Don't you remember?
It's your favorite radio station in your favorite radio city, the city by the bay, the city that rocks, the city that never sleeps.
Marconi plays the bamba. Listen to the radio. Don't you remember? We built this city. We built this city on rock and roll. We built this city.
anything for love, I think. House anything for love? Maybe it's not.
Hey. Okay, well, look, a few memories there and a little bit of improvisation, I think you'll all have to say, to use up a little bit of time. But I'm very pleased that I think Dan is going to go to join us in a minute.
Can you hear me?
Right, that he's there. Yeah, Dan, we can hear you. Can you hear us all right?
I can. I'm awfully sorry. Completely lost track of time.
No problem at all. Well, thanks very much for joining us this evening. Really appreciate you giving up your time. I know you're extremely busy at the moment.
Yeah, I'm extremely grateful for you guys waiting on for me. We've just got next door and we're just sort of like expanding the stud. We're in there going flat out at it. So yeah, sorry about that.
No problem at all. Well, look, let's just start on. Let's get straight into it. And start off, let's just have a bit of an update, shall we, on some of the Foxtrot horses. So we were talking earlier and watched a little video of Maracuja winning at Leicester. And
Yep.
how is he? How's Maracuja?
He's really good, actually. He belies his years, to be honest with you. He absolutely loves what he does. He's a pleasure to have around. I'm absolutely delighted to have him going as well as he is at this age, because you never know with horses. Sometimes they just, literally hit a brick wall and, that's it. But he just thrives on it. And I'm really chuffed with him. He will go at Friday, isn't it? So
Well, members of the group would like to
it's
see.
a handicap. It's a Hunter Chase handicap, which is quite unusual. So I don't think there's going to be many runners, but he's in good form, and we'll go there. And I'm pretty sure he'll be competitive.
Brilliant. Well, a nice way to end the season, I think. And
I think so.
obviously had that great day out at Aintree with him, which everyone enjoyed and a lot of fun. But he probably didn't really take into those fences.
No, sometimes they don't. But look, we've had a go now. We've itched that scratch, and we'll go back to normal regulation fences.
And we saw Whispering Gypsy out early in the summer, and she obviously ran extremely well up at Haydock. And how is she doing?
She's well. I think I've got the grip of her now. She runs very well fresh. I think you've got about 2 races, and then you need a little break. That's not to say you have to throw her out in the field for a month or 2 or something silly like that. But I do just think that she's a bit better having a run and then backing off her. So I will give her about another 10 days and start going again. She'll be ready in 3 weeks then, and yeah, we'll go again. I know she's very well handicapped. You've seen that on that Haydock run against sort of lesser opposition. She's going to look very well handicapped. So if we just do our right, if we just play our hand correctly, I think we'll get there with her.
Brilliant. And another horse that we had to be a little bit patient with is Checking Squills. How is she?
She's good. She's out in the field. She looks fantastic. I'm not going to get her in until the end of June, early July, to have her ready for the autumn, because we don't need to be putting her legs under any pressure. She's already been down that road and unfortunately had a little injury. Not that she deserved it, or we ran her on ground that could have enhanced the chances of it happening. These things just happen. Don't go looking for them to happen again, though. So if we start with her in normal season, if you like, we'll have her ready in October and we'll go from there.
Brilliant. And of course, we had a fantastic start with Ridgeway at Doncaster, and it was great to see him win on his first run for us. He seems like a nice horse to look forward to when he comes back from his holiday.
Yeah, and obviously we all sort of decided that the best thing to do is give him a break and treat him correctly, and we're doing so. And yeah, I'm pretty happy that he will go on. I think the slower ground not necessarily will suit him, but I don't think he needs to be running around on rattling hard ground. And a little break treating him this way is only the right thing in any horse, to be honest with you.
Yeah. And of course, we recently launched a new syndicate with you, Dan, which sold out very quickly, which was fantastic. So, a horse called Snipe come over from Ireland. How has he settled in?
He settled in really well, actually. We got him out in the field fairly quickly. He came over, typical horse that has had a season under his belt at a young age. He was a bit light and lean and ready for the field. But to be honest with you, he's a different horse already. Chucked him out in the field, he's blossomed. Delighted with how he looks. I think he's a real tough customer. I actually spoke to Pierce Power about him, who had him in Ireland. We've had horses off him before, and he said, I think his words were something like, he's a dinger, he'll do you. I think that's translated. He'll be perfect for our job.
Great. Hopefully get his head in front. So that would be brilliant. Well, really looking forward to seeing him. And he's having a holiday now, and then just to be clear, so he'll then start running sort of in the autumn, sort of come into training, what sort of July time?
Yeah. So I'll get him in probably 2 weeks later than Squirrels. Squirrels can come in the first week of July, and Sniper come in begin maybe the 11th, 18th, something like that.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, great. Well, lots to look forward to. But let's talk a little bit about you. And we've already started to get a few questions coming in from some of our members, but some of them have asked about you getting involved in obviously racing. Obviously, you've come from a horse background, but was it always sort of your intention to become a trainer? Was that always your dream ambition?
No, not really. We always used to joke when we were little, me and Harry, and we always used to joke that I'd be the trainer and he'd be the jockey. But we didn't really realise at the time that, that was just us playing. Sometimes people play cowboys and Indians. Well, we played trainers and jockeys, and we joked about it when we were very young, but never really thought about it at all. And then we both went down the show jumping route, and it didn't work out for me at all. The first show I went to after I'd left school, I took 2 horses. I think I knocked nearly every fence down at a show in South Wales, and thought this is going to be a very long career. This is so quickly abandoned that and found my way down the racing route, and went and worked for Paul Nicholls, obviously, and it blossomed from there. Once I'd started working for Paul, I was always going to be a trainer, because I'm never a person who would put time and effort into something without having a plan at the end of it. There's, I wouldn't just, I was never just going to be an employee with no, without a plan in place to do it myself one day. Now, that's not to say that, I'm not saying that if it hadn't worked out, I'd have been quite happy to be Paul Nicholls' assistant forever, because I loved the job and it was fantastic. But I was always going to give it a go myself. And, with the support of people, we've managed to keep the balls in the air, and, that's history then.
And you mentioned there about obviously working from Paul and moving from an assistant to becoming a trainer. Did anything sort of surprise you about moving from an assistant role to actually the boss, as it were? Was there anything that took you by surprise when you became in charge as opposed to being an assistant?
It's very different being an employed person to being an employer. No one sets you up for that. No one sort of explains that to you. And that's one of the biggest differences, is all of a sudden you're responsible for paying people's wages, and they're relying on you to pay a mortgage or pay all the bills. It's all of a sudden you're responsible, and then your team grows. And I think we sort of run payroll for about 60 odd people now. So all of a sudden it's like, wow. But in terms of actually managing the horses, there's not a great deal of difference. Of course, the buck stops with you all of a sudden. Instead of you having a load of suggestions, half of them being idiotic, and them getting swept under the carpet and actually doing something worthwhile. But it is slightly different, to being the boss, but you have to surround yourself with people, good people, to make it possible. Whether you're the boss or whether you're a manager, you've got to have good people around you. It's absolutely impossible to do it by yourself, and to think that you can is pretty ridiculous, to be honest with you. You're going to find yourself in trouble pretty quickly.
It's interesting that you mentioned the sort of team there, and obviously your brother Harry's the stable jockey, but what sort of part and role does he play away from riding the horses on the race course?
Well, Harry's a huge part of it, because he understands sort of what the build-up can mean to the way a horse runs, the way a horse performs, how rideable it is in a race. So a good example is this morning, Destria, who's running on Sunday. I said, we'll just do one with him. And Harry said, oh, can we do two? Because I think he's better. He's more rideable when he's done a bit more. When he goes to the races, having done a bit more, he's just easier to ride in the race. So things like that are, absolutely, they're key. They might be the difference between that horse winning and losing. And he's always with the horses, with the staff. He understands what's gone on. He sees the positives. He also sees the negatives. He knows all the owners as well, not quite as well as I do, but nearly as well as I do. So you're always, or at least I hope you do. You always feel like Harry's telling you exactly what's going on rather than what you want to hear. So it's important to have that understanding, and I think it's nearly gone full circle now with racing yards. Years and years ago, you used to get yards with retained jockeys. Then there was, the emergence of the super agents like Dave Roberts, who's just recently retired, obviously. But those agents meant that jockeys didn't have to stay in one yard or whatever. So, but now I think it's almost going back round, and you're seeing a lot of yards having one or two jockeys. They're not reaching out to spare riders, basically. So I think you'll find that it's sort of becoming an even closer knit team all over, really.
And that's really interesting. And look, let's take a couple of questions from some of our members, because we've got lots of them coming in. Some people explaining, you can either raise your hand and we'll come to you direct. You can ask Dan a question directly, or put it in the chat and I'll forward on the questions that we get in there, or at least some of them. We probably won't have time for them all. But one of the questions, Dan, that we've had is about your training. What do you consider to be your biggest achievement so far?
My biggest achievement, I think training 205 winners in a season was massive. You had to set out to do that. So the May before, you had to start then. You couldn't just sort of amble through the season, get to the 3rd of February and go, oh, look, we've got a chance. You can't do that. You've really got to get on. I think that professionally is probably the biggest achievement. Individual horses, some and some. I mean, it was remarkable to win 4 races in 8 days with Too Many Diamonds 3 or 4 seasons ago. We took a mare like Roxana from a first ever bumper to winning a Grade 1. And then there's been some, remarkable performances by horses on a lesser level that we've got from elsewhere, or they've been on the scrap heap that have come good, and that's that's a real good feeling when that happens. So I think on an individual basis it's hard to pinpoint, but I loved what we did with Too Many Diamonds. I think that'd be very hard to do again, and obviously the 205 as a collective was pretty big. Yeah, well, incredible achievement, and it's been great, I think, to be part of the yard for so many years and to enjoy all those successes that you've had, because I know a lot of our members follow all your runners and all your horses and enjoy almost feeling part of the yard and part of those successes that you have. One thing that often crops up is sort of size of yards, and I mean, how do you manage to look after so many horses within the yard? Your team. It's totally your team. If you have a good system, so you have a good system for feeding, you have a good system for riding them, you have a good system for washing them off, getting the rugs back on. Just those small things that you wouldn't even consider as a system, if they work and they are effective, they make things so easy. I would say 50% of horses need checking on rather than specifically training, because 50% of them fit into the system beautifully. They thrive in the system. They love their feeding. They love their regime. They love their riding out. They love their galloping. You can race them when it's appropriate. Touch wood, they're not horses that are lame. You can sort of get on with them when you want. The other 50%, they take a bit more managing. A few of those horses might be individually scrutinised by a senior member of staff, be it that they've ridden by them or that they look after them. So they're getting lots and lots of attention. And then, you know, I'd be sitting over the top of all of that, just checking on everything, just making sure it's all running smoothly. And the best way to describe what I do is just make sure it's running smoothly. If you see a horse that's sound and it's doing its work well and it's eating, that's how you want them. You don't all of a sudden have to go into, okay, do we need to do this with it? Do we need to do that with it? No, that horse is thriving. You know, this is a living being. This horse has a very sensitive body. Don't mess it up. You've got it good. Don't now mess it up. The ones that aren't going so well, then you've got to get involved. Then you've got to be a bit intrusive and say, well, why? And is the feed working? Is the exercise working? Do we need the vet? Has it got ulcers? Has it got kissing spines? You know, are its feet right? So I'd say 50% almost run themselves, and then 50% you've really got to think about. And of that 50 that you're always thinking about, you can almost break it down into 3 sections. So there's a third that are getting over a run, a third that are coming up to a run, and a third that are currently running. So the ones that are getting over a run that need a lot of attention, you know, that's the physio's job, that's the vet's job, that's the holistic team, you know, getting them back to the point where we can get on with them. And then, you know, you can't judge a horse too harshly after its race for 10 days or so because it's getting over it. So you end up with a yard, say, of 100, 130, 140 horses. You probably say, well, 60 or 70 of them, you know, add milk and stir. And then of the other 60, you know, 20 are a real headache. 20 you've really got to keep an eye on, and 20 are, you know, in and out of the other 60 or 70 that are becoming a problem for an unusual reason. So when you look at it like that, it seems manageable. And that's the best way I can describe it, really. Like, we've got lots of people around us. We're never short of people, touch wood. So I'm not going to sort of bang the drum of a big yard because it's easy for me to do so. But, you know, there are always people around watching your horses. It's not like you're in a small team, four or 5 people, 2 or 3 of them go off racing for the day. There's 2 people left at home running around trying to do everything. You know, and I'm not saying that that's not an effective system, by the way. I'm just saying how it is for us. You've always got somebody watching them, which is super, super important.
Interesting. And do you mentioned there about sort of all the things that you look at in a horse. Do you think the way in which horses have been trained has changed at all since you were assistant at Forum?
Did you say campaigned or trained?
Trained.
Yeah. I don't think horses are as hard as they used to be. I think, but then at the same time, like when I was at Paul's, we had the likes of Denman, Kelly Star, Big Bucks, Masterminded, Neptune, Collonge. Like, you couldn't give them enough work. They were just superior athletes. But I do feel that horses aren't quite as robust as perhaps they were 15, 20 years ago. And beyond that, I actually think because we've got all-weather gallops all the time, and because we're feeding I wouldn't say perfectly, there's always room for improvement, but because their nutrition is so good, and I do feel that we overtrain a lot of horses. A lot of the successes of horses, a lot of the successes we get with the average horse, if you like, is when we've backed off them, is when we've trained them and had them 100%. They've gone to the races and they've ran okay. Actually, we get a better result with those horses once they're fit, just keeping them fit. You've got to remember that there's no such thing as 101% fitness. The second you tip over 100, you go downhill because you overtrain. So actually, I think nowadays we don't have to train the horses as hard.
That's interesting. Yeah, very interesting. And you mentioned there sort of the medical side of it. I think that has developed? Do you think that the veterinary side, the understanding injuries has improved? And therefore, do you think almost we're picking up injuries more easily? Do you think that medical aspect has changed?
Yeah, I can. There's a really interesting, I can illustrate this quite well because I was having a chat with Mark Johnson one day about tibial fractures. And I said to him, I can't believe this. I never had a tibial fracture before. And all of a sudden I've got 4 in the space of 18 months. And they were non-displaced. They were just a hairline crack like you'd get in a pelvis. I said, why do you think that is? He said, well, you've always had them. You just couldn't diagnose them. So yeah, veterinary science advances and it tells us new things. But I always sort of jest with our vet, the difference between theory and reality. He's working in theory, he's working on textbook and veterinary, and we're dealing with the reality. And you have to have a strong dollop of reality when you're dealing with horses, because sometimes the intrusive method can backfire on you. You've got to make sure that what you're doing is going to work. And if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's normally a duck.
Yeah, no, that's very interesting. Well, look, Dan, let's get a couple of questions here from some of our members, and try to be sort of quick firing these questions at you, and one after the next. But look, Trevor's asked a question here. You spoke about the roles within the yard, and what he'd like to know is about sort of entering and declaring the horses, which obviously is an important part of training and getting winners. And who does that in your yard?
I do it all. So I do it the night before. I'd normally enter all the horses the night before the entries close, and then I'd declare them all the night before as well. And if anything changes in the morning, I'd take them out. When I worked for Paul, his PA did it. I don't think it saves time if I do it. I don't think it's a longer process for me. I think it's one of the most important things. And you're always, if you're always on that BHA site looking and seeing what's going on, you sometimes just at the corner of your eye you'll see a race. Oh, there's only three declarations in that, or there's only 5 entries in that. You can just pick up little nuggets of information that you wouldn't see if you weren't on there. So I've always done it. I can envisage myself always doing it. And like I say, I think it's got its positives for doing as well.
No, I can see that, absolutely. And it seems to me that the yard is sort of slightly adapted. You mentioned about having the over 200 winners in the season. We talk about the sort of size of the yard, but would I be right in thinking that perhaps you're more thinking about quality now in terms of the horses that you have, as opposed to it being a numbers game and obviously you want winners, but just trying to get the winners on the board? It just seems that the quality in the yard has improved quite dramatically over the last sort of season or so.
Yeah, it has. And after those 200 winners, I recognised pretty quickly that, whilst everybody was delighted to do it, I think the owners realised that, it wasn't a sustainable thing for them. And my staff were just exhausted. I mean, the miles that the travelling staff, especially, and Harry and Tom Messenger, one of their assistants had done was just phenomenal. And it just wasn't sustainable. To ask them to go out and do it again would have been ridiculous. And we all know that people aspire to compete in the best races, and where the better prize money is and the prestige is ultimately, that's what we're trying to achieve. We're trying to achieve the best product. So yeah, we've gone that way. We tried to go that way. We've gone that way, and I think it's working well for everybody. I couldn't just have jumped up and down 4 years ago, stamped my feet, said I want better horses. Please send me better horses, instead of having lots of summary types. People wouldn't have stood for that. But I actually think the fact that we said we were going to try and get 200 winners and got it sort of gave us a platform for belief almost. There's almost a feeling that, well, they said they were going to do that and they did it. Now they say they're going to do this. We believe they will. So we got the support almost off the back of doing the first, the first sort of quantity aspect of it, and then tailored it back and made it work. Made it work a bit better, really.
Well, you certainly have seemed to have done that, because the success you've had has been absolutely fantastic. And, as I said earlier, it's been great to be involved in that. But let's look forward to, I suppose, this season, but we might call it next season if you like, starting in the winter campaign. You set yourself targets for the coming season? Do you have anything specific you want to try and achieve, or go into it with any aims and specific ambition?
I'd like to try and get to £2 million in prize money again. I think 100 winners and £1 million in prize money is a fantastic year for any yard. We've had that £2 million a couple of times now, and I'd like to try and maintain that. And if you win into £2 million in prize money, you're probably getting between 120 and 150 winners. So, that's fantastic as well. But I don't think it's sensible to say, well, we have to have more than 150 winners. And, when you're not setting yourself absolute targets, I don't feel that you have to do that, because it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything if you achieve them. And if you don't achieve them, you feel like you failed. And there's no point setting the team those goals if actually when you don't achieve them, it doesn't mean anything. Like, I remember when we had those 200 winners, I said, right, we are having 100 runners in May that year. We are having 100 runners in May. And we did. I think we had 101 and we had 30 winners. And, that was what I started out with. And then I said, right, we're going to do this, 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 and this. And we did it, and it came off. But, if I'd have just said, right, we're having 150 runners in May, and you only had 100, like, well, we've fallen short, but we've had 30 winners. Only set the targets. Even if they've got to be big. There's no point in setting a target that's absolutely achievable, because it's not really a target, and people will see through that. But never set a target that is completely unattainable, because if you do so, you're just demoralising everybody. Set the achievable high, and then everyone's got to work hard to do it, but ultimately it can be achieved, and when it is, everybody feels good. So let's try and get the 2 million, because it feels doable with the team of horses we have. And if we do that, then we'll be right up there, and hopefully one day we'll be snapping hard at Paul in April.
Well, I'm sure that's an ambition of yours, but let's hope that can prove very soon. Let's just take another question from a member here. Are there any horses that you're particularly looking forward to seeing run this season?
Obviously, I want to get those the protectorates, and I'd like to see All Mankind come back. I think that's very important. He obviously had a bit of a dull end into the season, but he put so much in at the start. He's got a lot of nice bumper horses, an unbeaten horse called Grey Dawn, a 2 from 2 in bumpers. He could be anything. We've got a host of novice hurdlers that are going novice chasing. It's hard to really pick one and go, well, that one, because you shouldn't really ask them. You shouldn't really ask any horse to carry a team of 140 on their shoulders. Everybody's got to do their bit. So I can't really pick one out particularly, but it is important for those top end horses to come out and do it. They're the ones that people watch. When Protectorat runs, it'll be here's the horse that was the highest placed horse in the Gold Cup, and it's important that he runs well. So he'd be important that and he's only a 7-year-old going into 8, so hopefully he's got improvement.
Well, very exciting. Really exciting horse. And just coming away from the training side of things, obviously you mentioned earlier about the stud. Just tell us a little bit about that setup.
Sorry, you cut out the last bit there. Sorry, Dan.
Sorry, you mentioned earlier about you being at the stud. So can you just tell us a little bit about that setup?
Yeah, so last January, we got Dink, who's Nuba Negra's sire, and he stands at the stud here. He had, I think, about 50 mares last year. He's on for probably 65 or so this year. His foals have been really, really good. We're delighted with them. And we've got probably about 40 broodmares around the place of ours and of clients. And I just feel that it's getting harder and harder to buy top quality horses. I'm not saying that all of a sudden we're going to, they're all going to be born on the farm, and it's going to be this beautiful story where all our horses are born next door, and that's not going to be the real world. But if you can get a handful of them through that route, it means that nobody else does. And me and Grace, my wife, set it up with the ambition that it was going to be commercial, and stand on its own 2 feet, which touch wood it is, but that it also carries a job. It also carries the fact that a lot of the owners all of a sudden want to keep a mare and perhaps breed a horse and try and have a horse that way. So it works really well. Early stages are that it works really well. Obviously, the stock have got to run, but there'll be winners in there. There's no doubt about that. There will be winners in there. They look the part, and we've got foals by other stallions. Every other stallion there is basically around the place. So it's not just, we're not just loaded up with one horse, but it's exciting. It's a different thing. I really enjoy it. We're working hard at it, and hopefully it gets well supported, because that's ultimately what it needs to happen. People need to support it, because it's a new venture in British breeding, which needs all the help it can get, I think. And there's a lot of people pulling in the right direction in British breeding at the moment with the GBB bonuses and other things like that. So we're just getting behind it as much as we can as well.
Well, that's really interesting. Obviously, we run a breeding syndicate as well.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of our members very interested in the breeding. We've got a visit to Shade Oak Stud coming up in a couple of weeks. So it's really interesting. I suppose, Dan, that would almost provide owners, and I can't think of anywhere else that would offer it, with basically a sort of birth to retirement one-stop shop, as it were. And I can't really think of anywhere else that does that.
No, and like there are some studs on the flat, obviously, that do it, but the flat is obviously much more commercial. But we basically can take the horse from start to finish. What comes first, the foal or the mare? We had two owners in today, and they've bought 2 mares. They've gone down the mare route, so they've got 2 mares. They're going to breed. They're going to race. We've got other people that are buying foals. They're going to race and then potentially breed from them. We've got people buying 3-year-olds who are going to race and potentially breed from them. So you can get on the wheel at any point, basically. But the idea is to try and make it sustainable. So instead of having your purchase cost being market value, all of a sudden your horse cost, the cost of your horse, can be unit value. So you know how much it's going to cost to get your horse to 3 years old in training. You have the mare. You can send it to the stallions that you want to. You send it to a horse in the UK at £4,000 or £5,000 covering fee. You know that you probably end up with a 3-year-old at around about £25,000. That may be worth 50 if it goes through the ring. It may be worth more, maybe worth less. But that will get to it. And over a lifetime, that's what you've got to look at horses. It doesn't matter whether you're a trainer, a jockey, syndicate manager, an owner, whatever. If you look at how you do over a lifetime with horses, you will, if you're one of the ones that could withstand the knocks and take the bad times, you will be amazed what you can achieve. And that's ultimately what we're trying to promote. Like, yes, your mare might have 8 foals in her life, and 3 of them might be useless, but there's a good chance that the others won't, and it'll be a lot more effective way, cost-effective way to get you that horse, and the journey as well. A lot of people enjoy the journey now, so we're offering it, and people are taking it up.
Great. Well, it sounds a very interesting initiative, and be interesting to see how those horses foals, I suppose, come through and develop, and how they do on the race course. If you've had them since birth, you've got no one else to blame, I guess.
Well, that's it.
Right. Great. Well, just to finish off with, we've just got a couple of sort of more generic questions, I suppose, that come in for the members, just about racing in general. Particularly, we've got a question just about sort of the Cheltenham Festival, and I know this often rears its head, as it were. But what are your views about? Are we too focused in jump racing on the Cheltenham Festival, or is it the pinnacle that we all ought to be aiming towards? What is your general view on the race programme in Britain?
I think it is the pinnacle, but I think it's obvious that it is, and it doesn't need ramming down your throat at every available opportunity. I think the race programme for the top end horses can be twiddled with and just tweaked and gotten a bit better. My biggest problem with the top end races in the winter is that they are inappropriately placed at racecourses where the ground could be terrible or whatever. So I think we need to spend a bit of time sort of ironing out the problems in that race program. I actually think that the vast majority, I just think there's way too many races. I think there's way too many meetings. I think we can run the whole system a lot better. The field sizes at the moment prove that there are too many races. They'll say, well, there's not enough horses. Well, what help are you getting to get more horses in? And the truth is none. So the herd is the herd size. Unless you're going to do something to increase the herd size, you have to reduce the fixture list. And I think it needs doing, and it needs doing immediately. I think in general, when you get into the winter season, I think jumps racing's in a really good place. I know that there's a lot of competition for people, footfall through the door. We're competing with football, rugby. I suppose those are the main ones in the winter. Why are those people that are going to go and watch a Premier League match? Why are they going to come to a race meeting instead? It doesn't. I don't think we can get them. And there's a lot of those achievable targets I was talking about earlier on. We all kind of get down that we're not getting more people through the gate. And I think if you look after the people that are currently coming through the gate, they'll potentially come a bit more. So I think our attention is in the right place for sure. We've got to find a system. Of course, everybody's got to do that. I think all of a sudden tracks and things like that. I don't think that's a realistic thing. There's little problems, isn't there? But who hasn't got those at the moment?
Well, that's that's very true. But I think in general, do you think British racing's in a good place, despite the obviously the domination of the Irish, certainly the festival, perhaps a couple of years ago. We seem to have some good horses coming through. I mean, is that your view that actually British racing is probably in a pretty good place at the moment?
I think it's in a sustainable place. I think we are just lacking behind Ireland in terms of quality when you get to the very top end. But that comes and goes. Why all of a sudden, Man City, the best team when 10 years ago they weren't. Investment, number one, it's investment. But we've got that, and there's no point banging the drum going, well, we haven't got investment. We have, but it takes time to catch up. All of a sudden, we are realizing, okay, we need to be buying this type of horse. Well, if you buy that type of horse, it doesn't come to fruition for 3 or 4 years. So you just got to let these things happen. I think the bigger footfall for people literally coming in. And apparently there's a big problem with the flat horses getting sold after 1 or 2 runs to America and Australia and this type of thing. That sounds much more worrying to me than anything we're dealing with in jumps, because all the good jumps horses in the world are either in England or Ireland. That's it, full stop. There's a few in France, but they're all French breds. you know, if all of a sudden the best British and Irish breds start going overseas for flat, it then diminishes our flat program, which ultimately knocks onto the breeding of our jumps program, which will see a slip. I think that's a bigger concern. I think everyone's just got to pull their socks up and just get on with it a bit and just do a bit more. You know, a bit of graft isn't going to hurt anybody. And I think if we do that, we'll get back there, because ultimately people want to go racing and people enjoy the British program of racing because it's been there forever. So I just think we've got to, just pull our socks up and get on with it.
Brilliant. Well, look, thank you very much indeed for your time this evening. It's really appreciated. We've had lots of questions from our members, lots of interest, lots of people joining us this evening. So really grateful. And finally, I'd just like to wish you the very best of luck, not just obviously with our Foxtrot horses in the yard, but the season ahead. Let's hope it's a really exciting season, and perhaps we'll get to that £2 million mark again as well. So best of luck for the season. And thanks to you and all the team for all your hard work with our horses.
Thank you all as well. You've been there, I think, nearly from the start. So you're a big part of it all, and I hope you enjoy watching.
Well, that's Dan Skelton. Thanks to him for joining us this evening, and thanks to you for joining us. And I hope everyone's enjoyed it and found it interesting. We've got lots of topics with Dan, lots of interesting things about horses, training, stud, racing in general. We've covered lots of different things. So I hope everyone's enjoyed that. Thank you for joining me. It's been a fantastic 24 hours for Foxtrot. We've got at least 2 more runners to go this week, so let's hope our good fortune continues. Let's keep enjoying our racing. Thanks again for joining me, and hopefully we'll see everyone either at the stables or on the race course very soon. Good night.
Thanks, Dan. Thank you.